Hello, we're going to be talking about JSON. So as a quick reminder, our goal is to have our devices be smart devices, be IoT, be able to interact with other things across the web. Maybe send our data to the cloud, maybe pull down other data from weather services or whatever else you might be looking for. So we do this through APIs, and this is a way of allowing us to communicate with, say, a database server or a dashboard server or something like that. At the particle cloud, we then create a webhook, and it's just basically a way that sends our request onto some other server. So if we look at this kind of picture, we're familiar with, we have the Argon on the left, we send some message to the cloud, particle cloud, it takes our data and pre-configured sends it to, say, another service, maybe weather, maybe initial state, something like that. Maybe the weather service will then send us data back. So this whole process is being interacted this way. So where does JSON fit into this? Well, we can send one temperature value to a web service. It's not too difficult. But if we want to send lots of sensor data quickly, it can be very complicated to write the webhooks, to take all these kinds of data to go through. So it would be actually much easier if we could send complex data in a simple form, and that's where JSON comes in. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's actually not JavaScript. It has nothing to do with JavaScript, so you can disregard the name. It's a misnomer, I guess. It is, however, a very popular format for sending data across the web. XML, maybe you've heard of it, is another common one. So what's nice about JSON is it allows us to take complicated data. So example, data with ints, with strings, with lists. You have a variable with complicated ways of storing information, and we can then compress that down into a string. So JavaScript or object notation or JSON is not a programming language like C++ or Python. It's really just a way of representing variables as a string. We often will use a library typically in our code to then we call parse or read JSON or to write it. Pulling back a little bit. JSON again is just a text string, but it's a way of representing data as a text string. It's built around the idea of key-value pairs, so that's kind of like a dictionary where you have key:value or a hash, maybe you've heard that. So in JSON, we have two data types. We have JSON objects, which we denote with a curly brace. We have JSON arrays, or lists, for example, if we're used to that. We denote with a square bracket. Okay, so what does actually this look like? So in this case, we have a JSON object, right? So it's formatted as we're used to, key-value pairs, so key:value. So in this case, keys are always going to be strings, and our values can be string, int, float, other JSON objects, or a JSON array. Those are the only options we have, okay? So, for example, weather in this case is a key, because it's key:value, so it's weather:sunny, and sunny is the value. In this case, sunny is a string, 78.0 is a float, and 32 is an int. Okay, now another thing is we can have objects inside of other objects. So in this case, forecast is the key, and its value is Monday, or mun, right? But notice that it's actually another object. So mun is also a key, and it happens to have keys inside of it, which are high and low. So we can have a nested object inside of an object. We can also have arrays, which works just like we're used to in other languages. So in this case, we specify them with square brackets. The indices always begin at 0, so starting at 0, going to the length -1. We can have string, int, float, objects, or arrays. Basically anything can be a position in an array. So if we think about this, what we've got here is daily temp is the key, and its value is a JSON array because it's got square brackets. 89 is an int, and its value is stored at index 0. So this is just a brief overview of JSON, giving you a sense of it's a dictionary, it's a hash, it's got a key-value pair, it's a way of representing complicated data as a string, and we can then use it to send large amount of information from our Argon to the cloud to our web service, and then get a response back in a convenient way.